I think one of the best ways to know more about Parikrama is to know more about the students. So I'm going to share with you a bit about the students who I taught, and should you volunteer, these children will still be there. And their life story and their story kind of connects with what's going on there. Okay. The first student I want to show you is Akshaya. Akshaya is a typical kindergarten girl. She is very young. She's wearing the school uniform because she owns very few clothes that are not her own. And she wears the school uniform, as all the children do. Actually, the school uniform is donated by the Levi's company, so all the kids are actually wearing Levi's, but of course they don't know that. And Akshaya was a very bright student, although she was my remedial student. And I will include a video of Akshaya calling me a fat Pepsi. According to her, the most decadent thing a person could be is a fat Pepsi. So if you volunteer, you'll definitely encounter cute, funny, kind of sassy young students like Akshaya. Okay, the next set of students are two twins, and you can see that they are extremely beautiful. And their names are Monica and Monisha, and together I call them Momo. Momo is in kindergarten, and they are really incredible. If you give them the same picture and the same colors and put them in separate rooms, they'll color the picture almost exactly the same. So they've grown up together. Together, they're very sociable, but when one of them is missing, they lose their sociability, and they really need each other, and in a way they complete each other. Monica and Monisha were my favorite young students by far. Okay. The next photo is just 3 of the students, and I picked this photo because you can see how diverse they are. I also wanted to show this picture of girls because in a poor community there's lots of pressure for the girls to stop going to school, because once they've become literate and functional in math, then their parents want them to start working. And a number of the girls have to struggle with their families to continue going to school. Another challenge facing the girls is that the people living in their community that cannot go to Parikrama because space is full and because there is no other school available to them can be jealous of these girls, and on their way home a lot of them face verbal and sometimes physical abuse. Okay. The next picture is of the 10th grade boys. I was in charge of tutoring English for these 10th grade boys. There are actually more of them, but this is just a picture of them together. It's kind of funny to think that these boys and I were reading Emily Dickinson and trying to decipher the meaning of some of her poems. Parikrama's goal is for the children to pass the basic high school level exam. And since that exam contains Emily Dickinson, we had to read and decipher Emily Dickinson together. Actually, I picked these boys for this picture because they really enjoyed going to school. All of the kids loved going to school. They ran to school with the biggest smiles on their faces because at school they had a place to play, they had friends, they had food, and they didn't have to deal with the pressures that are going on in their communities. Okay. The next boy's name is Prabin, and Prabin was my personal student for a range of subjects. Prabin is in the last 2 years of high school, and Prabin I was more like a mentor to. We got to talk about puberty, his family, all sorts of things. It's kind of funny for me to give advice to a young man growing up. But part of what happens is that once these children become educated, they kind of move into a world beyond what their parents can help them with. So they need role models that have education, that have more social skills, and Parikrama more or less asks volunteers to be role models and mentors for for their children, and to give them advice about things like college, how to go to a job interview, how to dress yourself in order to be respected in society. Certain things that their parents, although well-intentioned, just don't know. Okay, this next picture is a little bit grim, because the truth is that within the slum community there is lots of violence and abuse. Actually, at the school, 80% of the fathers are alcoholics. What Harsha, this is a little boy, he's in 3rd grade, what Harsha is showing me, Harsha was my English student who I worked with one-on-one. Harsha is showing me a 3rd-degree burn that he got intentionally from his mother. Harsha had been stealing pencils in class, and when a teacher called the mother to ask her to talk to Harsha about his stealing problem, she decided to deal with it by giving him 3rd-degree burns. So this is actually the day after, and you can see the pain in his eyes that his own mother did this to him. So even though the previous pictures were of all smiles, these kids are coming from a really hard place. Okay. The next photo are the photo of a bunch of early teenage girls during Christmas. So as girls get older, and if they pursue education, their families sometimes and their communities will put lots of pressure on them to stop going to school and to either start working, or the family believes that education is not proper for girls. So these girls all live in a hostel which is owned by Parikrama. So they have been orphaned by their family, or they have run away in order to continue going to school. And if you volunteer at Parikrama, there will be lots of opportunities to go to the special girls' hostel and spend time with these girls who are really bright, and unfortunately society is just giving them a tough time. Much more than a tough time. Okay, this next girl is one of the girls who lives in the hostel. Her name is Madeline, and she's very young and she loves to read. If ever I came into the hostel, she would sit as close as she can to me and start talking at me. So Madeline has a very bright smile and is always very happy. In her lifetime, 3 of her siblings died of malnourishment because of they just didn't have food, and there are all sorts of stresses in life. So she now lives separated from her family in the girls' hostel because her family could not take care of her. And Madeline is just an amazing representation of her perseverance and how much she wants to be educated. And she is so young, and she knows such the harsh side of life, and she still really wants to get educated. So when you see her and she wants to read a book to you, you really just want to let her read that book to you, and you're just so amazed. So she's a very inspiring character. She's not a character, she's a very inspiring person, and she's just a little girl. So the next question is, who volunteers? Many different types of people volunteer at Parikrama. First, there are many Indian volunteers. Here's a picture of one volunteer reading a book to one of the children. And the next picture is the Indian volunteers on a social outing. That's me in the middle. Okay. Beyond the Indian volunteers, which outnumber the international volunteers, here we have a photo of one of the staff at Parikrama. Actually, one of the staff, he's cleaned up since this photo, is a Belgian man. He has a teaching certificate in Belgium, and he now works full-time at Parikrama. Here's a picture of myself and a few of the volunteers with the staff of one of Parikrama's schools. Parikrama has 4 schools. This was the staff of the school that I worked at. And the teachers at Parikrama are paid very little, and they do it all out of passion. And they are not just teaching. They're teaching, they are raising the kids, they are raising men, they are raising women. They even educate the parents, because Parikrama has skill training for the parents. These women are truly incredible. Right. The next picture is of the volunteers who were there at the time I was volunteering. We're at an Indian wedding, showing that we're having a bit of fun. The next picture is of a volunteer from Brown University and I at the Taj Mahal. Okay? And the final picture is a picture I took outside of the school. And I wanted to show you this picture so that you'd see. This is an older man carrying around his auspicious cow. I just want you to see that this is the community very close to where the slum dwellings are, and this is a very traditional place. And it's like nothing like Boston. It's really an incredible place to experience, and that if you do decide to go to Parikrama, you will meet these incredible children and more, and you will see life in this kind of fascinating place.